goes over a tenth of a second fast.
It has been a long, old time, but finally, Formula Trout is back. Hello and welcome, one and all, to round number 1 of Season 12 of the Formula Trout Premier Series. And what a pleasure, what a privilege, what a joy it is to be here under the lights at the Bahrain International Circuit. You join myself, Ross McIntyre, with Alex Cochrane alongside us, and the symphony of V12 engines lighting up the desert sky as we look to get our newest season underway right at the start of 2025. Alex, it's been a long while, but pleasure to be back, pleasure to have you alongside us. We're back for another season of Formula Trout. It's brilliant.
It is brilliant. Yes, hello everybody. Very, very happy to be back here again for the Premier Series this time. I've been doing the Sprint Series, but here we are back at the Premier Series. Very glad to have you here, Ross, for round 1 especially. Nice bit of flair that was sometimes lacking when it's me on the comms, so very happy to have you here. And yeah, very happy to be hearing these V12s screaming around this track right now.
Absolutely. It's great to be back. It's been a long old while. As I said, we're on board with Cody Lawrence currently as we get underway in our opening qualifying session of the season. Our reigning champion from season 11. And yes, that is right, you are hearing V12 engines. Absolutely unreal. It's been a busy old time for Formula Trout since we've been away. We are now affiliated with our beloved racing studios who've been producing our cars for many, many a time. And of course, recently Racing Studios came out with their take on the upcoming 2026 Formula 1 regulations. And that's the car we're using, except we're using a slightly different variant that they also put out. We're using the RSS Formula Hybrid V12-R. It's got a naturally aspirated 900 horsepower V12 engine within it, and it is all KERS as well. No hybrid that you see in modern single-seater racing. It's all KERS, push to pass, call it what you will. 7 seconds of that battery stuff per lap, and where you use it is all down to decipher. So it should be very, very exciting indeed. But again, as I said, we are about midway through our qualifying session now. Just under 11 minutes to go out of this 20-minute session. Cody Lawrence, who we're currently on board with again, the American, our reigning champion from season 11 in the Premier Series. He's currently in P2, just under a tenth of a second away from Foster in the younger GP car. So it'll be interesting to see if he's able to improve on this lap. Let's find out as he rounds the final corner, but gets it very, very wrong. And this lap will not be an improvement, to say the least, for Cody.
Really hard.
Yeah, he did. Again, curbs in these cars, they can be quite brutal. Again, we're running the Racing Studios take on the 2026 Formula 1 regulations that are upcoming, except with a V12 and with KERS instead of your ERS hybrid system. These cars, they're a little bit shorter, a little bit narrower than the cars that we used to, and again, they also generate more inwash on the aerodynamics. So, in theory, it allows closer racing, but there's less aerodynamic grip. Again, it's still a take on a 2026 Formula 1 car. These things are going to be stuck to the racetrack, but you might be relying a little bit more on mechanical grip, a little bit more on the limit of lap, rather than shorten out aero speed. And again, just what Racing Studios have done with the car as well, looking through the manual that they provide when you get this mod. It's unreal. They're now even stipulate with this mod the roll of the door of the wing angles themselves, rather than just the car. The aerodynamics is constantly changing through the corner, much like it is for real life in Assetto Corsa, which is just unbelievable for a game where the sequel to this game has now been released in early access as well, and we're reaching newer heights. It is absolutely unreal. The follow up following Justin now, as he makes it around. Now we're following around Steven Stevenson, who goes to provisional pole by just under a quarter of a second. Unbelievable lap times there from a former champion here in the Premier Split. Again, Steven Stevenson was champion back in season 10, back when he was racing with Off-Can Racing, and showing that he has lost none of his ability. As the drivers make their way round now, following around Olsen as he makes his way through the tricky turn 9, turn 10 seconds, trying to get some heat in those tyres. 8 minutes 25 left to go on the clock. But it is important to note the top 10 in this qualifying session, they will be starting the race on the tyres that they qualify on. If you set your lap time on the C5 tyres, the softest compound of tyres available, that will be the tyres that you start the race on. So I'm expecting most people to be qualifying on the C3s. A little bit more likely than the C5s, especially in RSS cars gone by. They can be a one and done kind of tyre. You can set an absurd lap time over one lap, and then they'll just fall off the face of the earth. So especially in seasons gone by here in Formula Trout, the C4 was definitely the qualifying tyre of choice in the races. But we'll continue to follow Jan Olsen around. And I tell you what, why don't we continue to follow these guys around? There's someone a little bit off track there coming out of the opening section. I did have a request from Carter Jackson. It must be said. We do a NASCAR style crank it up. We can't quite do that, but we can certainly listen in to the glorious V12 sound. Let's just take a moment, take the rest of this lap, and just listen to the noise these things are producing. Hang on. That's available. Qualifying on this point is just a little bit. And that's a fantastic lap there by Philip Olsen. The Griffin Gaming driver gets it a bit wrong heading into turn number 1, but still P6 for the moment. That will certainly do as it stands. Now we go back to Cody Lawrence, still holding it for P8. He must have bossed it, taking an absolutely unreal lap at the moment with 5 minutes left to go. Nico Bossett, of course, teammate to Cody Lawrence over at Younger GP, who have dominated Formula Trout in essentially every season, and it's been a thing. Apart from, well, the last time there wasn't a Formula Trout champion in the Premier Series that wasn't a Younger GP driver was in season 10. It was, of course, Steven Stevenson. Before that, you have to go a long way back into the history books before we get to a, different champion from another team. Maximilian Junger, 3-time champion here. His team has continued to do the business. And you'll see there's something a little bit different for Assetto Corsa. You'll see Nico Bossett braking before we get to the potential, and that's because we've got some new regulations, some new rules here at Formula Trout. And that means that you do have to be at 80 kilometers an hour before you hit the automatic pit lane speed limiter. Of course, traditionally in Assetto, of course, you can fly into the pit lane. It'll automatically slow you down to 80 kilometers an hour the second you hit the pit limiter, and it's all fine. Here in Formula Trout, you do have to be down to 80 before the automatic pit limiter comes into effect. Otherwise, you are going to be slapped with a penalty. On board with Cyprian Stoyan, currently down in P16, just behind Case Wilhelms in P15, a little bit away from him, a couple of tenths off. It's a bit of a bigger grid split than I was expecting to see so far at the moment, as we see. You know, the top guys, I mean, it's 4 tenths between Bossett and Lawrence in the top 2. The top 6, a second between them in sim racing. That's a colossal gap. And Bahrain, it's not a race necessarily about management. Yes, you need to manage your temps. Yes, you need to manage your tyres, of course, as always within racing. But this is a track that much more caters to all-out attack. It much more caters to just really flying for the limit. And on the subject of all of that, why don't we have a look through the calendar for this year? We're here at Bahrain, January 18th in the year of 2025 in the Choman era at the Bahrain International Circuit. February 1st, we'll be heading to Austria and the Red Bull Ring. February 15th, we're heading to Portimao in Portugal. That's going to be a fascinating race. And here is, well, something I don't think anyone expected. Las Vegas, March 1st, we're going to the Las Vegas Street Circuit. A track which, well, will provide much of an intrigue. Then, of course, Silverstone on the March 8th, heading to the British round and the Hungaroring for round 6 halfway through the season on March 22nd. Suzuka will be hosting the Japanese round on April 5th for round 7. We're heading to Monza in round 8. Then Paul Ricard in round 9. That's going to be a fascinating strategy battle there on May the 3rd. May 10th, we'll be heading to Spa in the Ardennes in Belgium. The May 24th, we'll be heading to the Circuit of the Americas. That's right, 2 American rounds in this series. Clearly, league owner Kilgore Trout has sold his soul to unbridled capitalism. And then the final round of the season, we'll be heading on June 7th to Interlagos, Sao Paulo, Brazil, to round off the season. As we see, that's Giovanni Amorim getting a little bit sideways in the back motorsport car. But nothing to worry about there, I don't think. Should all be okay. There's 2 minutes left in this qualifying session. And it should be interesting to see what everyone's able to do across the rest of this round, or this qualifying session, should I say. Philip Olsen following around at the moment. Second away, but some smoke billowing, or some dust, should I say. Looks a bit dusty on the exit of turn 8. Now into turn 9 and turn 10 on board with Philip Olsen. Some of the hardest corners you can find, not just in sim racing, but in motorsports. Very, very tricky through there. You're braking downhill off camber through turn 9. And then turn 10, well, that ridiculous second gear hairpin, it's going to be tough to go through. You can see we've blacked out the screen on the car steering wheels. Of course, want to hide telemetry from the other teams. We're doing it Formula E style. Want to hide the telemetry as best as we can. But don't worry, we've got some telemetry on screen at least, so we can at least follow those around as we go on board with the Season 10 champ, the American Steven Stevenson, currently P2. Ahead of reigning champion Cody Lawrence. What can he do? 3.5 tenths away. He will just about have time for another lap, I believe. He has backed out, so Steven Stevenson is not going to set another lap. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Alex. Currently, Boster in the Junior GP car, 3.5 tenths ahead of everybody else. Absolutely ridiculous times there from Nico Boster, the German. The number 93 doing a fantastic job ahead of reigning champion Cody Lawrence, ahead of former champion Steven Stevenson in P2. 3.5 tenths. It's a ridiculous lap time. Do you reckon anyone's going to be able to counter that as Dave Stelter stops at the side of the road heading into turn 8?
I don't think so. I mean, Stevenson obviously backed out of a lap. We've got Cody here, though. He's just starting a lap, so just in the last 30 seconds, he's going to have another go.
We'll have to wait and see. Absolutely, last season's champion. We know what the American can do on track. Let's see what he can do as he flies his way out of the opening section into turn 4. Very tricky off camber, taking the classic esports line through there. Runs a little bit wide, but keeps it on track. 2 wheels on track is the rules here in Formula Trout. If 3 wheels or 4 wheels go outside of the white lines, that is a out of bounds. That is going track limits, and that is a non-lap. A little bit of a lock-up on the inside front, quite common, and a big kick of oversteer as he gets throttled down out of turn 8. Now turns 9 and 10. Leaves it wide. Look at the lockups on track. Very aggressive. Takes out that bollard if it was a physical object. Now into another DRS zone. Foot to the floor. Listen to the revs rise from that wonderful V10 as he flies his way into turn 11, turn 12. These are flat out in a modern Formula car, a top-level Formula car. And now makes his way down the back straight. That's a little bit wide, but that's a corner where you might be able to get away with that. Makes his way Cody Lawrence. What can he respond to Steven Stevenson? What can he respond to Nico Bossett? Rounds the final corner now. Cody Lawrence, a 125.231 to beat. And he abandons the lap. Cody Lawrence will not finish that one. Thomas Barbary, he's still on a lap, is the Frenchman. So let's see what he can do as he makes his way into turns 11 and 12. Looks pretty comfortable through there. Maybe a little bit too much on the front end. Look at the turning. A little bit understeery there for Barbary as he makes his way through the penultimate corner onto the back straight. 1 turn to go. Foot flat to the floor using all the brakes. Trail braking all the way in. That was 140 kilometers an hour through the final corner. He'll also abandon the lap. So it looks like we're not going to get anyone completing any final laps here in qualifying. So unless anyone who's still out on track, there are a few drivers still going around, but I'm not expecting them to break the bank. So it will be the German Nico Bossett starting on pole position. Steven Stevenson in P2. Cody Lawrence will be starting from P3, your reigning champion. Thomas Barbary in P4. Morello P5. Olsen P6. Neil 7th. Minich 8th. Giovanni and Warrentine and Griffiths in P10. That's your top 10 for the time being. Again, we'll confirm qualifying for you as soon as we know the final order. But right now, that's your top 10 as we come to a close in our qualifying session. 37 laps of racing to look forward to here under the lights at the Bahrain International Circuit. And it will be a Younger GP car on pole position, but maybe not the one that everyone was expecting. Nico Bossett takes pole, 3.5 tenths of a second. Unbelievable lap times, unbelievable pace shown there by the German. And well, Alex, is he going to be able to carry that through into the race?
Yeah, I mean, being fast in quali is one thing, but being fast in the race is another. You know, if you can keep the lap time up, it will work out, but then you've got the race start to deal with as well. Can you keep that track position? They're all on the C3s, basically, by the looks of things, so kind of even Stevens on the start, I suppose, but just a thing to mention, in that session there, we only had the 20 cars on the timing tower on the left. There's actually 28 cars on the grid today, so there's another 8 beyond what we could see. So if you do get it wrong lap 1, really going to fall down that order, and you're really going to feel it, because I think making up 27 positions in a race is difficult to say.
It is very tricky indeed, but a very, very exciting session ahead of us. Nico Bossert starts on pole, Stevenson second with Cody Lawrence in P3. Thomas Barbary is fourth with Anton Morel in fifth. Philip Olsen sixth, Jaden Neal seventh, Dimitri Minic in eighth, Giovanni Morant in ninth, and Colombo Griffiths in P10. Moving further down the grid, it's Mark Levine in 11th. Roland Justin in 12th. Christoph Berzer, he'll be disappointed with that 13th, as will Dave Souther. They'll be looking to move up the grid. Pedro Herreras Carlos in 15th, Roberto Radiocha in 16th, Cyprian Stoy in 17th, the Case Willems in P18, and a few more drivers further back from that. Again, 28 cars, just a ridiculous number barreling down into turn 1 as well. We'll have to wait and see, but the drivers are all lined up on the grid now. We'll have a few moments to go before the lights go out. 1 minute and 25 seconds, in fact, before the lights come on. Alex, any predictions for this one? Anyone that you've got your eye on? Anyone that you think's going to be rapid away from the lights?
I mean, I'm really looking at the front kind of group there. They're all CRG, they're all younger cars, but in that little background there, you've got Felipe Olsen there hanging around in the background. I think he kind of showed the last few seasons that he's turned it up a little bit, and I wouldn't rule him out of a podium for sure.
Well, we shall have to wait and see. It is Nico Bossert that starts on pole. The reigning champion in Cody Lawrence, the American, starts behind him in P3. Stevenson, the season 10 champion, he starts P2. It's Junger CRG from 1 to 4, and a huge grid of drivers ahead for the opening round of season 12 of the Premier Series here at Formula Trout. The utmost series, the top series available in Assetto Corsa. Only the finest, only the best of the best make it onto this grid, and only the best of the best are going to duke it out in the opening round of the season. It is lights out, and we are underway. Great start there from Stevenson, but Bossert gets a very strong second phase. Someone already around in the background as we dive down into turn 1. Look at Stevenson to the inside. Look at the CRG cars. There's chaos down in the background as they're all ricocheting off each other like a pinball machine. But it looks like it's going to be Nico Bossert that holds the lead as they dive on into turn 4. Here comes Cody Lawrence looking to the inside and his teammate. It's Junger, CRG! Stevenson goes round. Looks like there was contact with his teammate there, but he'll be able to recuperate. Go again. It's now Bossert, Lawrence, Barbary. Your top 3 as Morel and Demorin make their way into 4th and 5th. Another spinner there in the background. Cold ties wreaking havoc. The 2 Lioneers cars now come together down into turn 8. But it's Nico Bossert up the front of the pack as there's lockups, there's spins, there's tyre smoke everywhere here in the desert in Bahrain. But Bossert already trying to stamp his authority, trying desperately to keep hold of that lead as we see a move there being made up the inside. That is lovely stuff. Gets the positions on. That looks like it was Souther being overtaken by RSS Carlos in for P9. So Dave Souther, a bit of a disappointing opening to the season so far for the Manx driver. He's got a bit to make up, but look at the gap already between Bossert and Lawrence. Lap 1 comes to an end. 0.8 of a second. No DRS until lap 3, of course. But that's a big ask to go again with these new regulations, these 2026 Formula 1 inspired regulations for this RSS car. The slipstream not as powerful, DRS not as powerful. It's all designed to entice closer racing in the corners as we see moves there being made further down in the pack. Action everywhere you look here as we go on to lap number 2 into what is supposedly called the Michael Schumacher corner, but they never officially named it that. It's the only named corner out on the circuit. Cody Lawrence needs to be a little bit worried, I think, for not just this race, not just from the pressure behind from Thomas Barbary, from Morella, but for the season ahead, because Nico Bock, he's jumped in that Yuma GP car, and right now is holding the lead on his own action further back in the pack. That looks like it's going to be one of the CRG cars. That's going to be Steven Stevenson making his way back through the pack after contact with his teammate in Barbary early doors on lap number 1. A disappointing start for the Season 10 champion, but he's got a big comeback drive ahead of him. If anybody's going to be able to do that, it will be him. Again, there are 7 seconds of KERS available for the drivers across a single lap. Stevenson, I'm sure, was using some of that because look at the straight line advantage he has over Carter Jackson as he makes his way back into P14. And they make their way around penultimate corner, bombing down the backtrack. This choir of V12 engines echoing its way around the Bahrain desert. Here goes Philip Olsen looking for a way past Levine. He's going to be using KERS, surely. He's got the DRS, or he won't quite have the DRS actually because it starts this lap. So they're well into the next DRS zone, both of them locking up the front tyres. Levine looks like he's on the C4 tyres, slightly softer compound than Olsen, who gets the move confirmed into turn number 2. So he'll be after the box a little bit earlier on this 37 lap race. There's Thomas Barbary in P3 at the moment. Nico Botta 1.5 seconds ahead of Cody Lawrence in P2. Olsen spins. Philip Olsen goes round down at turn 4. It's difficult. It's difficult out of there. It's off camera. It's a tricky corner exit with these V12 engines. The power band is so hard to get nailed. It's so hard to get traction down. And Philip Olsen, after a great move, he'll drop down the pack into P13. On board with Thomas Barbary, now the Frenchman, leading the CRG attack after Steven Stevenson's spin on the opening lap. Maiden contact there between the CRG teammates. We'll have to wait and see post-race whether that was something that happened. That's a little bit wide there from Cody Lawrence. That might cost him a bit of time. Barbary will get the DRS down the main straight. He'll have a bit of KERS surely going as well. As look at the lines that Cody Lawrence is going. He's already trying to stretch every little bit he can. We're looking back as we go on to lap number 4 of 37. Barbary sets fastest lap of the race. Lawrence was faster than Bossett as well. That gap between the leaders has closed down slightly on this occasion. Barbary not quite close enough. Big lock-up on the outside for himself and Morel as well in P4 as Christoph Berzer makes his way into P6. I believe he may have encountered some issues in the Griffin gaming car. He was running P5. Found himself back in P7, got past Levine in P6. Giovanni Amorum now leading the charge. The Brazilian in the BAG Motorsports car. His own team will be trying to push on forwards. Currently though, lap 4 of 37. It's Bossett from Lawrence, from Barbary, your top 3. Morel, Amorum, Berzer, Levine, Minich, Raris, Carlos, and Neil make up your top 10. But as always here at Formula Trout, anyway you look, there's going to be action out on track. Alex, opening laps, a fair bit of chaos has gone by. Nico Bossett, though, he's not disappeared into the distance, but he's trying to make his mark early doors in this season.
Yeah, I think the new car, you know, it's the first time it's kind of been driven in anger, and I think it's caused a lot of people out. That lap 1 was quite all over the place, 30 cars, so it's going to be expected, I suppose. But, you know, away they go now. Yeah, as you were saying, Bossett, 2 seconds gap,
2 seconds gap.
Lap 4, sorry. It can come down, you know, one little mistake and he'll lose the position, but Lawrence is definitely looking in his mirrors.
He certainly will be on board. Oh, look at that. What a move. Well, I say what a move. What an easy move by Thomas Barbary, the CRG Frenchman, up into second place. More lockups. Seeing a lot of lockups into turn 1 early doors in this race. Barbary, DRS, bit of KERS, straight on through as they make their way up to 300 kilometers an hour before turn number 4 and slide their way on through. It's already a race that's starting to look a bit like a chess match. Just picking and choosing your moments, wondering what the strategy is going to be. Again, most runners on the C3 combat attire. Very much middle of the road again. In this Assetto Corsa, Carter Jackson gets it very, very sideways, almost into the back of Cyprian Stoyan in the Lioneers racing car, who himself, the big lock of, oh, who was that in the fence? A huge, huge off, and that's Roland Justin. Amazingly able to continue, as it looked like he was on his side there, coming into turn number 8. That is massive for the Arrow Autosport Hungarian driver. Roland Justin able to continue. Will have some damage, surely there. Damage is turned down to 75% here in Formula Trout. So it's not like you hit the wall and your race is over, but that will be big damage anyway. On board with Jaden Neal, one of our many American contingents on the grid this season. Lovely move down into the final corner, but now he has to worry about the Coers from behind, perhaps the DRS as well. And indeed he will be, as Rose Carlos slides on back down the outside. Does Neal hold the inside line? He tries to, a little bit too far back though, maybe a little bit of contact there between the two. But able to continue on with these two fighting ferociously, still side by side, as they bomb up the second straight into turn number 4. Neal's a little bit braver on the brakes, but no! Raris Carlos goes in deeper but runs wide. Neal able to shut the door and confirm the position for himself. Lovely, lovely racing action here on lap number 6. As we go on board with Steven Stevenson, he's managed to work his way up to P11, has the Series 10 champion. Again, not the way that he would wanted to have started this season. Going around at turn number 4 on the opening lap, the CRG driver has a lot to do over the remainder of this race. But if you trust anyone to go on a comeback drive, it is that man. Won the title with Oxtan back in the day. Now at the wheel of CRG, now making his way into P10, moves ahead of Raris Carlos, getting in between that battle between himself and Neal, his American compatriot. Steven Stevenson, that season where he won the title, just absolutely dominant. Won the title by 70 points in the end from Nico Bossert in the Younger GP car. Again, we know how good Nico Bossert is, but it was just an unreal margin in terms of how far ahead he was. Last year, Nico Bossert, again, was not a big contender. In fact, I don't think he even entered a race. But in Season 10, he was certainly a driver to beat. As we go on board there with Philip Olsen, trying to look to the inside of Arish Karlosh. Can't quite get it done. Steven Stevenson now trying to go the inside of Minich. Gets the run out of turn 3 into turn 4. This should be a pretty textbook maneuver, and he did it is, but he locks the inside front, runs a little bit wide, gets out of the camber. Not done just yet, and has to back out before they get to the S's section. So Stevenson will have to hold position, hold at bay for the moment. Gets very close to the back of his opponent. Into the top 10 though. It's a good start for him, as I was saying. Stevenson, that season when he won the championship in Series 10, won well. It looks like it was 7 races, took 9 podiums, and or 10 podiums should I say. And the other 2 races, he just didn't enter at Silverstone and Suzuka. Absolutely dominant Series 10 was he. Only 2 other drivers took victory. That was Nico, who currently leads this race, and Ernest Reese in the other GP racing car. So Season 10 was certainly a Season 2, remember, for him, but currently Season 12 not quite going the way. The American CRG driver. But we'll watch on in anticipation and wait anyway, as Nico Bossert, who's clearly put the work in the time it's taken between Season 11 and Season 12. It's been a long while. He leads the way by 1.6 seconds. Stevenson makes P9 his own, should he get the later in the brakes into turn 1. Interesting interpretation of track limits there. Not quite done either, because Minich is still alongside him. Still side by side as they fight their way up the second straight into turn 4 we go. Stevenson with the inside. This time he gets it done on lap number 8. This time the CRG driver doesn't quite shut the door, but he gets the inside line into the S's, uses the dirty air and continues his charge forward, holds on to that position. It's lap 8 of 37 here, Alex. Bossert leads the way. We're seeing a few drivers out of position, but currently the closer racing that this RSS V12-R promised, it is very much delivering. We've seen some great action out on track.
Yeah, really, really great battles up and down the grid so far. I mean, even here in the top 3 positions, you've got Barbary still keeping up with Bossett. 1.7 seconds the gap now. Lawrence is still keeping him honest as well, 7/10. So although he made the overtake, he's not been able to get away. I think we might see this battle kind of spice up as we get near the pit window. For sure.
We'll have to wait and see. Again, we're not quite sure when the pit window will be with these new cars. It could be very, very soon. It could be a while away. Again, the vast majority of the runners on the C3 tyre, the middle of the road compounded tyre. Again, we can run from C5 to C1 here for the Trout. C5 being the softest compound, C1 being the hardest. The softest, of course, gives you the most outright pace, but it runs out of grip a lot quicker. C5s especially, they're very much a one-and-done tyre. As Stevenson looks to make his way into P8 up the inside of Levine. And that should be a very, very easy, but very, very well-executed move for the Season 10 champion. And indeed, he gets it done. As here we see Dimitri Minic also trying to fight with Levine now. Trying to fight his way through, trying to work his way through Levine. Not been a very strong few laps as he's looking to desperately hold on. But we'll wait and see if he is able to hold on as he continues to push his way around. Minutes in the DAC Systems International car. Can he find his way through? We'll have to find out as he continues to push round on this opening lap against the DAC Racing of Mark Levine. Again, junior team against senior team there. As we follow Stevenson round once again, trying to face down Neil now. This has been much of the early action here following the Season 10 champ, Stevenson. After a spin induced by possible contact with his teammate on the opening lap. Stevenson for CRG Racing, looking to make his way through the pack and back to where he once was. Now Jaden Neal, an American compatriot for DAC Systems International, the junior DAC Racing team, tries to go to the outside, both of them locking up the tyres. Once again, that should be Stevenson's position, and indeed it is. Jaden Neal will have to succumb to that. And we'll have to settle for P8 unless he's able to launch a Ricardo-esque dive bomb into turn 4, which is not the case. Willems very, very wide there for the Dutchman into turn 1. P14 at the moment for the Lioneers Racing boss and driver. As I would see Fernando Borges trying desperately to work his way around Cyprian Stoyan. Stoyan, that's, well, maybe trying to call his tyres actually, Cyprian Stoyan. That's very, very offline. And that's the line you typically see in wet running. That, to me, says Cyprian Stoyan struggling maybe with some tyre heat issues as Philip Olsen to the inside of Mark Levine gets the move done. That's lovely stuff from the Griffin Gaming driver. Again, another sufferer of a spin early doors. He qualified in P6. A lot of ground to make up. Lap 11 to 37 here. Mark Levine. Oh, Mark Levine gets it wrong. Lucky to keep it pointing in a straight line. That was very, very close indeed, but just about able to get away with it as they continue to push onwards. Cody Lawrence, meanwhile, might be able to get up the inside of Thomas Barbary. This is for P2 to make it a younger GP 1-2 on the road as well. Barbary, the Frenchman, a driver who burst to the Formula Trout scene when he did some time ago now. And meanwhile, well, Lawrence, again, the reigning champion, we know what he can do, to put it politely. But yeah, Thomas Barbary, a driver with just incredible, incredible talent when he first appeared. Currently holding on to P2. Cody Lawrence struggling a little bit with some oversteer there. But able to hold on for the time being. Able to keep it pointing in the same direction. Of course, Thomas Barbary, the reigning vice champion, so to speak, racing last year for Trinity Simsport, an French outfit. He's made the jump over to CRG in 25 for season 12. He's got on board with Giovanni Amore, the Brazilian, at his own team, co-owned with his brother Bruno Amore. Bruno not out on track this evening, unfortunately. Giovanni, though, continuing to do a good job in P6. He was a Challenger Split champion some time ago, and is a very, very fine driver, and Bag Motorsports a very, very fine team as well. Currently holding off, though, from the hard-charging Stevenson on his recovery drive. Can he hold him off? Down the run into turn number 1 as they go on to lap 12. And the answer to that's going to be no. And that's as easy to move as they come. For Stevenson. And maybe under pressure there from Neil, the American driver, with a bit of momentum as they run out of turn 3 and into turn 4. Looks to the inside. Both of them do have TRS. Neil to the inside. That's a wonderful, wonderful move from Jaden Neal. Up the inside he goes and gets it done. Absolutely delightful there for the DAC Systems international driver. And he'll maybe try and follow forward, as that means Giovanni Morton drops down into P8 early in this race. Back to the front battle though, or the battle that we're really focusing on up the front is Thomas Barbary against Cody Lawrence. Nico lost at 2.7 seconds up the road now. Again, he's not vanished into the distance, but he's starting to lay down the law. He's starting to prove what he can do, starting to show what he can do. Vice champion here in Formula Trout Premier Series. And the German looking to bring the championship back into German hands. It's been in German hands many a time. Of course, 3-time champion at Max Young. We've had Max Hammerlink as well. The magical Max Hammerlink, he's dominated seasons before. Can Nico Botta start his season off with a firecracker here in Bahrain and bring the title back to Germany? Again, it's a long time away before we can confirm that. 12 rounds in Formula Trout Premier Series here in season 12. But he's starting off strongly. But the reigning champion, Bossett's teammate Cody Lawrence, currently unable to find a way through. Thomas Barbary, last season's vice champion, the Frenchman. Again, he was in an all-French squad at Trinity Sim Sport last season. Lenny Papon entered 2 rounds, won both of them. But those are the only 2 rounds that he entered in season 11. I was back in Australia and in Italy at Monza. Meanwhile, Barbary did take 4 race wins, Japan, Singapore, Belgium and Brazil, but it was a whole host of podiums as well, but he was really let down by his opening 2 rounds. Australia was 4th place, Austria was 5th place. Cody Lawrence race, he didn't finish off the podiums at the final round in Brazil where he was 4th, where Barbary did take the win. It was those early couple of rounds getting used to Formula Trout, getting used to Assetto Corsa that hurt Barbary. Cody Lawrence, the champion, he moves up into 2nd place now. An easy of an overtake as you'll get DRS using the curves and flies on by into P2. Makes it a Yinger DP2 as well. Maybe he can try and hunt down his team now. It looks like Boston's starting to lap some cars now as well. So the front runners starting to encounter traffic. We did have a very stern message in the pre-race briefing, driver's briefings. That's very right. Again, getting out of the way of the some of our front runners there. That's taking blue flags to the next level. But yeah, we had a very stern pre-race briefing where it was if you have a blue flag, get out of the way. There were a few pre-season test races, shall we say, non-championship races, we'll put it like that, where we had a few things. Blue flags was clearly an issue. With the Serbian Dimitri Minic now in P9, chasing down the Brazilian of Bruno Amorim in P8. Yeah, so blue flags, good to see that those are being obeyed on lap 14 of 37. Don't think we're going to be very far away from seeing some pit stops, as Philip Olsen, very, very wide indeed from him. That's not what you'd expect to see from the Griffin Gaming driver. Normally a driver who's so consistent, so on it. But a big lock-up as Cody Lawrence sets the fastest lap of the race into turn 9. And well, we'll have to see what he can do going forward. But it should be interesting to see. So then Alex Cochrane, lap 15 of 37. We're quick approaching halfway through this race. And Nico Bossett, he's not dominated so far, but right now he's really laying down the line, showing that in 2025, in season 12, he is the driver to beat in the Formula Trout Premier Series.
Yeah, I mean, he took pole and he has led the race from then. He is being kept honest. Lawrence did just set fastest lap of the race after overtaking Barbary there, so Lawrence has pace in him, but that 3-second gap Looks like Bossett is maybe just managing the pace. We'll have to see how the lap times go. They will probably be expecting a first pit stop soon enough. We saw a few laps ago, I think Levine was the first one to pit. He dropped down from about P10 to around P18, and he's not really been making progress there. I think he's just been passed by someone else, actually. So that fresher tyre not really working out for him, as he's actually in the pit lane again, so he must have had damage. So yeah, really not working out for him. But the same goes for, you know, these front runners. These guys going around the track now. When they pit, where will they come out? Will they come out behind Stevenson? Will they come out behind Neil? It's hard to say. They want to build up that gap so they can get that clear air and, you know, not be compromised. Because if someone undercuts them, someone overcuts them, they don't get stuck in traffic. They could lose that position.
Absolutely. Again, we'll wait and see what the strategy is going to be for the front runners soon. But it's still some time away, potentially. Again, we're still not quite sure. As actually, I say that, into the pits come Dmitry Minich. That's the first of our top 10 to box, I believe. As there we see, up the front, looks like some problems for the front runners. Cody Lawrence now has 1.5 seconds back to Thomas Barbary. Barbary may be encountering issues, encountering mistakes from the Frenchman in the CRG car. Well, you can see a lot of lockups on the front end as well. I wonder if he's had a half spin and has cooked those tyres. This might be time for Thomas Barbary to come into the pits because he's clearly struggling and he's dropping back further and further across this lap. So, as it becomes a UGP solid 1-2 early doors, I think we will be seeing the Frenchman into the pits very, very shortly. Makes his way down the backstretch. I guess time will tell. Maybe he thinks like he can still continue. Bossett continues on. He's been at the front of the pack the entire race. He's now got just under 3 seconds now. And Barbary doesn't pit. That's very, very interesting. Again, it looks like Barbary's made a mistake and was struggling with overheating tyres as a result, but he's decided to continue going round. But again, he's lost. Well, he originally lost a second. He's now lost 2 over the course of that last lap. So I wonder, yeah, Thomas Barbary, I mean, if that was me in the car, again, I haven't raced in years and I wasn't any good when I did race, but that to me screams, you know, come into the pits now, get a fresh set of rubber on, take advantage of the clean air and try and make it back up. Christoph Berzer now on to Jaden Neal. Maybe try and work his way through again. The Griffin Gaming driver, he's struggled early in this race. And a half spin as well. I mean, both the Griffin Gaming guys not really been at their absolute best in this one, it must be said. Olsen as well, also finding issues early doors. Christoph Berzer, not quite where he would want to be, it would appear. As we go on board with Giovanni Amorim. And great to see some classic Top Gear sponsors on the Halo with Larson's Biscuits and Peniston Oils. Giovanni, a man who always has had a great sense of humour and has always shown that on his livery. And, not only a great driver, but a very, very lovely man as well is the Brazilian. Trying to push his way through as Barbary once again does not box. Interesting stuff there from the Frenchman as Antoine Morella does come in. So that's the first of our real front runners who's decided to come in. Let's see what tyres they go on to. Like it's going to be another set of the C. It's going to be a set of the C2s for Antoine Morel. So he'll be going to the end of the race on those ones. We were expecting a one-stop coming into this race, but Antoine Morel will be heading out into P9. It looks like it will be, but a few drivers ahead who have been struggling for pace on older tyres. Giovanni Amorim still holding off Philip Olsen as well in the Bag Motorsport car just in front. And there we see Neil and Berzer fighting ahead. Jaden Neal holding off Christoph Berzer. The German unable to find his way around the American. And maybe the Brazilian can capitalize on that and slide his way through and get 2 positions very, very quickly and get into the top 5. Have to wait and see what the Bag Motorsport driver can do. Last season, Giovanni Amorim, he did finish 3rd in the championship. Only 6 points ahead of Jan Dragoon in P4. Jan Dragoon, he's moved on to Pastors now. Unfortunately, he's found his new pastime racing over in R Factor 2 We wish him all the best. Giovanni Morin continuing here in Assetto Corsa. Took 3 podiums on his way to that 3rd place, but very consistent finishing around that 4th and 5th place mark, while others DNF'd, others didn't make races. That was what got him his money. Currently, Amor will be looking to make his way up as Thomas Barbary finds his way into the pit lane. So the Frenchman, the first of our top 3, comes into the pits. We'll have to wait and see where he's going to come out. Stevenson also in as well. Okay, that makes things interesting. Barbary comes out in P3 still. So that shows just how big of a gap the front 3 had to everyone else. But Stevenson, again, he's had a bit of a comeback drive on today. He's going to plummet down. Looks like he'll come out in P9. Thomas Barbary, he's still a pit stop cycle behind Bossert and Lawrence in the younger GP cars ahead. As we see there, changes for position behind. That's Jaden Neal going through Christoph Berzer. Lovely stuff. They swapped positions a few moments ago. And look at how close these 3 are running. These new Formula Hybrid V12-Rs doing justice to these 2026 Formula 1 regulations that they're based on. Closer racing allowed all throughout the pack, and they're really able to follow each other through the medium and high speed corners. With Thomas Barbary, he's he's still a pit stop behind the front 2, behind the Euro GP cars, as I said, but he's got very, very clear track ahead of him. He's got fresh rubber. He might be able to use that to his advantage and get a big undercut ahead into the Euro GP pit stops. We'll have to wait and see, I'm sure. 3-time champion and team boss Max Junger, he'll be in a radio call with Bossert, with Lawrence, being that engineer, being the mechanic, being the team boss and telling them what they can do. Was that Morella getting well out of the way, or was that a lap car? Looks like it may have been a lap car. Another driver coming into the pit. That's Jaden Neal, who dives on him in the sister DAC junior team. As Giovanni Morin now looks to the outside of Christoph Berzer. Tries to go the long way around. Does not quite happen. Christoph Berzer looks like he's holding on for dear life, but Morin is on the C2 compounded tyres, the harder compounded tyres. He'll have more grip at this stage of the race. He'll have the outside line into turn 4, all the way around the outside. Giovanni Morin, that is a wonderful move to move his way up into P4 in lap 20 at 37 and gets himself cemented in that position. Christoph Berzer surely thinking about a pit stop now. And this is the point, Alex Cochrane, where we're seeing tyres start to fall off. We're seeing struggles on those tyres, especially on the C3s. Another big lock-up there for Christoph Berzer. Surely, Alex, all the C3 runners who are still out, they've got to be coming into the pit soon.
Yeah, I mean, they're taking it a very long way. We're well over half distance here, and I would have thought it would have been...
Well, I guess they will be. Anyway,
sorry. I was talking. You weren't able to hear me. Yeah, it's an interesting one, because a lot of these C3 runners, they're over half distance here, so they've taken the, what would have been the expected strategy, the C3, C2, the softer tyre, longer. So maybe they're going to be doing C4, so maybe it'll be C3, C4. It'll be really pushing a set of C4s though at the end of the race.
We'll have to wait and see.
You can see though the effect that the traffic has on people. So Barbary, he came out in front of the traffic. He is now over 7 seconds in front of Morel here. Morel has lost like 5 seconds or so just fighting through this traffic, and he's not even cleared it yet. He's still got more in to go.
Absolutely, still time ahead of him. Thomas Barbary getting closer and closer to the undercut on lap 21 and 37. Of course, what out of Ford, Bossert and Lawrence, if they leave their pit stops later, they can go on to the softer set of tyres. A C4, I think, is their plan for the GP cars. On the C3s, they'll be able to, go a lot quicker in the latter phases. Straight out of the pit, should I say. There's Antoine Morel, being a GP Academy driver. Makes it P4. That's a lovely move up the inside of Giovanni Morin. And both of the Euro cars in are race leaders. Nico Bossert, Cody Lawrence, they're both in for Euro GP on the same time. It's C4s for Nico Bossert. I'm assuming the same for Cody Lawrence. It is the same for Cody Lawrence. Where is Thomas Barbary? As we wait for him to come out of the pits, V12's hungry to hit the limiter. Is Thomas Barbary going to be able to get the undercut? No, he's not. Both of the younger cars in front of the Frenchman. And both of the younger cars will hold on to that 1-2. And surely now will be cruising home to victory. They're on fresher tyres. They're on much softer tyres. And they've got 2.5 seconds back from Bossett to Lawrence in P2. And it's 1.5 seconds back to their nearest rival. Team boss Max de Jonge is surely shutting down the race on the radio. Has a back marker there, letting some other drivers through. Pace Willems, the Lioneers team boss, he comes into the pits from P12. Meanwhile, on board with Christoph Buzz, a bit wide from Philip Olsen in front. This is a Griffin Gaming battle for P6. Again, don't want to see teammates crashing into each other. It's the #1 rule of motorsport, of sim racing. Don't crash into your teammate. But here in Formula Trout, it's very clear. If you want to race your teammate, you're more than welcome to. Spurs are unable to find a way through at the moment, but following very, very closely in the tracks of his teammate, the number 21. Is he able to find some sort of a gap? Is he able to find some sort of advantage? Interesting to see the differences of lines through the penultimate corner. Olsen clearly preferring a wider line that allows him to get more speed onto the back straight and carry more mid-speed corner as well. Christoph Buzz clearly favouring more classical inside line as Olsen dives into the pits anyway. So Christoph Buzz will be taking that position. I'm not actually sure if they've boxed yet, so that's the first box for Griffin Gaming. And that'll be surely Philip Olsen onto a softer set of tyres, surely the C4. As though we see more back markers getting out of the way. That's someone of the C1s. So someone there had a very, very early pit stop after some sort of issues. Went on to the C1s, the hardest set of tyres, which is very much unfavoured, even with these new regulations. And has gone to the end of the race after an early stop and getting out of the way. Philip Olsen, he comes out into P number 10. So he'll still be within the top 10. Got some time behind to Raris Carlo. But a bit of a gap in front to make up to Jaden Neal in the DAC Systems International Junior sister team. Whatever you want to call it, the sister team to DAC Racing. Christoph Buzz then. He'll lead the charge for Griffin Gaming, but we'll be surely seeing him come into the pits in a few moments' time. We'll have to wait and see whether he is going to dive in this lap. Next lap, Bossett sets the fastest lap of the race on lap 24.37. And is, well, doing his thing as it stands. Let's run through the top 20 for you as it stands. It's Nico Bossett from Cody Lawrence in second place. Barbary is third, Morel fourth, and Moore in fifth. Christoph Buzz was sixth, but dives into the pit lane, as does Giovanni Amorums. That promotes Steven Stevenson to P5. Minic is seventh, or Minic is eighth, should I say. We've got seventh with Neil ninth and Olsen in 10th. Rose Carlo is 11th. Colombo Griffith, Welshman in P12. Radiocha is 13th with Case Willems 14th. Justin is 15th. Borges 16th. Woodward 17th. Stoyan 18th. Moving up in 17th, should I say. That is the overtake. With Jackson is 19th. Alvarez is in P20. Giovanni Amorm comes out in P8. Olsen in P9. Christoph Berzer in P10. So Amorm's managed to jump Berzer there in the pit lane. I wonder. Well, I say jump. He's got in front of him, but he's got quite a bit in front of him in the pit lane. So Berzer maybe had to repair a little bit of damage there while he was stopped and let his virtual pit crew attend to his woes. On board with Philip Olsen, the number 8 Griffin Gaming driver. Ahead of him, the Bag Motorsport Brazilian of Giovanni Amorim. Olsen has been on these tyres a lap or two longer than his opponent in front of him, but that does mean, of course, fresher tyres for the Slovakian. But let's see if he can push his way in front of the Brazilian. Meanwhile, Antoine Morel, the Frenchman in the Junge GP Academy car, doing a fantastic job as it stands in P number 4. There we see Rares Carlo in the other in the Bag Academy car. Problems there perhaps for him. Going quite slowly, but he's managed to get going again. As we follow back, Philip Olsen, lap 25 and 37, these guys are going on to. Olsen, well, we'll wait and see if he's got what it takes to get through Giovanni Amorim. Again, a former challenger split champion. No challenger split in this season. Formula Trout, it's just all in the Premier split, all in the Premier Series, and everybody is pushing the max. Here we see Nathan Jutras, he's 23rd as it stands, and a lap down, leading laps drivers, a little bit of a out of turn 4, and have to keep going. Adam Woodward, meanwhile, another one of our drivers a little bit further down the pack. He's in the other flag motorsports car. Problems for him, right, it would appear. We know that Woodward is a very, very driver. And, well, flag racing wouldn't have brought the American on if they didn't think he was able to do a job. But for whatever reason, Adam Woodward is just not running that well tonight, not running too strongly. We'll wait and see if he's able to maybe make up a few more places over the rest of the race. Citroen Storian is just in front of him. Back on board with Philippe Olsen. What can he do? Giovanni Amorim just ahead. Can the Brazilian hold on? Can the Slovakian head on through? A little bit wide there from Amorim in front. Olsen will get DRS. Olsen will get Kurz. Amorim tries to break the toe as they fly down the front stretch. Olsen runs out of Kurz, gets it again as he crosses the line, uses it to draw alongside to the outside. Maybe switch back. There's a car facing the wrong way down at turn 1. That was Jaden Neal, the American driver. He's dropped down to P9. That's allowed. Somehow, Philip Olsen up into P7, but Giovanni Amorim's not taking no for an answer. Looks to the outside at turn 4. Does he get it in turn 4? Still side by side between the two of them. Olsen goes round for the second time in this race. He'll drop behind his teammate in Christoph Berzer and into P10. A little bit too much to the inside, maybe a little bit too much speed, a little bit too much throttle into turn 4. And round goes the Griffin Gaming driver. And that means Amorim is safe and sound in P7 as it stands, with a second and a bit back to Neal, who's maybe cooked his tyres following a spin at turn 1. Chaos here with 10 laps to go in the opening round of season 12 of the Formula Trout Premier Series. Meanwhile, our front runner Alex Cochran, Nico Bossert, is in a land of his own. He's not disappeared into the distance, but he's got 3.6 seconds, 3.7 seconds ahead of his teammate and reigning champion Cody Lawrence. And the German is doing a fine, fine job, and quite frankly just needs to keep it on the black stuff, and he will be safe and sound to take the opening race of the season.
Yeah, there's plenty of chaos behind him, but shows, you know, you run in P1, you can kind of just focus on your own race. You're not having to battle other people. You're not getting involved in other people's incidents, as we saw Olsen there and Amorim lose out with, I think it was Neal that spun, wasn't it? Yeah, so, you know, Bossert could just kind of run at his own pace. Obviously a very fast pace, of course, with that 3.6 second lead he has over his teammate, but he's working the traffic nicely. He's not losing too much time, and you know, he's running a very, very strong race so far.
He is indeed. 10 laps left to run in this one. Lap 27 to 38, and well, Junior GP have executed this one perfectly as it stands. Team boss Maxi Younger, I'm sure, is sat there rubbing his hands in glee. It's been a wonderful race from Bossert and Lawrence, and they currently sit 1 and 2. Thomas Barbary, the nearest challenger, 7 seconds away in the CRG car. Is this a sign of things to come in season 12? Is this a sign of more Junior GP dominance here in Formula Trout? Time will tell, of course, but for now, it's a staunch start to the season. It's a statement start to the season for the German squad. Of course, helmed by 3-time Premier Series champion, I believe 5-time off the top of my head, Formula Trout champion. He's won a few sprint series as well. Oh, running very wide. That's Roland Justin. I believe that ran, no, it's Case Willems, in fact, that ran very deep. The Lioness team boss encountering issues there down at turn number 9. Again, it is the trickiest set of corner on the track and potentially on the calendar, quite frankly. Turns 8 and 9. The downhill, off camber, braking, hairpin, awkward section. It catches the best drivers in sim racing out. It catches the best drivers in motorsport out. It is so easy to get it wrong there. Kees Willems, the Dutchman, team boss of Lioneers Racing. Looks like he's been the latest to go on that situation. It's been a disappointing run for Kees today. He is a fantastic driver, it must be said. He's had some fantastic results across the years. Of course, last season wasn't a great year for him. Finished P16 in the standings, but that was with a few missed races. But before, he has run some fantastic races. He's done very well in the Challenger split as well. He's been on the podium in the sprint series. Season 9, of course, in the Challenger split. Took a whole host of podiums that season, on his way to 3rd in the championship, while his teammate Oliver Gibson, the Briton, took the Challenger Series title that season. Again, this season, no Challenger split and no Master split. There's only one series, and it's the Premier Series here at Formula Trout. Cyprian Stoyan, the Romanian, in the other Lioneers car, trying to make his way through Woodward in the... Oh, Stoyan into the barrier! Gives it too much throttle, gets too greedy, and noses his way into the wall, and now can't get the car moving again. And what was a difficult race for Cyprian Stoyan has gone from bad to worse. The Romanian the wrong way round into the wall, down at turn number 8. What a shame. What a shame. But it just goes to show how tricky these RSS V12-R Formula Hybrid cars are to drive. The power band is so narrow, the grip is so limited on the rear end. 900 horsepower at your disposal from these naturally aspirated V12s, as well as the power you get from curves. All it takes is to be a little bit too aggressive, a little bit too greedy on the throttle, and you can very easily find yourself facing the wrong way. And that's unfortunately what has happened to Cyprian Stoyan there. As Kees Willems, meanwhile, continues his fight in P15, just ahead Justin, 14th. Will he be able to find his way through? Only time will tell. But they are running out of laps now, are we? It's already lap 30 of 37. And we'll have to see if he's able to get his way up in front of Justin. Currently unable to make any difference. We'll wait and see. We will wait and see. Of course, Roland Justin, the Arrow Autosport driver, who, as we see Alvarez getting out of the way of some lapped traffic there. Back with Kees Willems and Roland Justin of Arrow Autosport. Yeah, one of the newer teams on the grid this season. Lioneers, meanwhile, been around for donkey's years here in Formula Trout, have started to branch their way out into other sim racing leagues as well. That's going to be a very easy overtake for Kees Willems. The Dutchman makes his way up to P14, uses the curves, uses the DRS, and gets a massive inside front lock-up as well. For good measure into the Michael Schumacher corner. Turn 1, the only named corner here at the Bahrain International Circuit. But continues his way around, uses a lot of front lock. I wonder if Willems is struggling for front end grip perhaps, because looking at the lock that he was winding on there through turn 4, yes, it's a corner where you do require a lot of lock all around, and Justin gets it very sideways, nearly turns it into an overtake, has to back out at the last minute. Maybe Justin as well, struggling for front end grip. He also locks up, also gets it wrong on the exit of turn number 9. And boy, oh boy, that's getting very close indeed. That's Morella who's gone through. He's currently in P4 in a bit of no man's land. 9 seconds back to Thomas Barbary in P3. 7 seconds back to Stevenson in P2. So, yeah, big differences there for that pair. But right now, doing his own thing. There is Nico Bossert, race leader, up the front of the pack. He's running a fantastic race, he must be said. Hasn't put a foot wrong so far. Lap 32 of 37. There we see Thomas Barbary in the CIP car in P3. And well, it's started to settle down this race, to say the least. There's still moves being made outside of the top 5, but this top 5, pending disaster, they are all sitting very, very comfortably indeed. I mean, Alex, over to you for a brief moment. Nico Boster, I don't think anyone was expecting this before the German. You know, he's taken it to last season's champion, last season's vice champion. He's currently up the road by 4.5 seconds and has looked absolutely magical today.
Yeah, I mean, Bossert, you know, he showed before that he clearly has the pace. He obviously has the place in P1 at the moment as well. Yeah, Bossert, as I said, you know, very, very good. Just looking in the background, sorry, there's a few yellow flags coming out. I think some drivers are struggling on tyres there. But yeah, leading a race like this, you know, from start to end, a new car, you know, and what looks like is full-time return to Formula Trout League as well. He's not really showed up full-time for previous seasons, so to, you know, put a performance like this on in the first round, it's very, very good. It looks very good for the rest of the season, let's say. 5-second gap he has nearly to Lawrence. There's 4 laps or so to go, and it doesn't look like it's going to come down.
No, it does not. Nico Bossert, the German, has looked imperious up the back tonight, as Dimitri Minic. He's on the back of Giovanni Amorim. He's actually got through Giovanni Amorim. There you go. That must have been down into turn number 10. Well, Amorim, what can the Brazilian do as he fights his way back? We'll have to wait and see. But that's assumingly a lovely move if it was down into turn number 10. Yeah, not much else to say on that one. Amorim gets some curves, gets some DRS though, and slides his way through. And well, yeah, that's what happens. I mean, even with these 2026 inspired regulations, as well, look at that. That was Christopher Olsen looking to the inside, and Philip Olsen round again. Once again, a Griffin gaming car faces the wrong direction. It has not been the night for that team. A team with so much heritage, with so much success here in Formula Trout. The opening round of Season 12 and the Premier Series has not gone their way. And it has just been more and more woes for that squad. Olsen will be in P10. His teammate now ahead of him ever so slightly, 1.5 seconds. Takes the pressure off of Neil in P8. Olsen was chasing, as we're focusing on this battle between Amorim and Minic for P6. Yeah, last real battle we've got up the front end of the grid. And honestly, quite frankly, the last real battle we've got on track at the moment. Everyone seems to have settled into position, seems to be happy with where they are out on circuit. Dimitri Minic following down. He's not going to be able to make a move on this occasion. Was a bit slower on that lap as well. We'll wait and see what he can do. The Slovakian driver doing a fantastic job. Might be Serbia. It is in fact Serbia. I do apologise. I know upset people can get in that region. I thought that was a Slovakian flag, but it is in fact the Serbian driver. Chasing down the Brazilian for P6 on lap 35 of 37. Can't quite find his way through. Gets a little bit sideways. The V12 roaring, groaning, complaining underneath him. Using that KERS as well. Oh, big inside lock up there for Giovanni Amorim. That might offer Minic an opportunity, but he's too far back to answer. Lucky is the Brazilian. He'll be able to take that one for the time being. Amorim maybe getting tired. It's been a long old evening, maybe getting tired. Maybe feeling the pressure, maybe tyres starting to run away from him as well on that C compound. The softest compound you can realistically use in a race. Right now, holding on to his own though. They'll be going on to lap 35 now. They were on lap 34. There is Nico Bossert, 4.5 seconds ahead of his teammate in P2. He'll be starting his penultimate lap of the race in just a few short moments. Alex Cochrane, it's that time of the evening. Who would you say has been your driver of the day?
I mean, it has to be the boring choice. It's the obvious choice, but it has to be Bossert. You know, he's not put a foot wrong for the last 36 laps, starting the penultimate lap here. He's not put a foot wrong. Just, you know, held that lead for the whole race in the pit stop window, held the lead. So it has to be him. I mean, you know, we got Stevenson making a recovery drive there, done a great job there, back up to P5 now. But you know, you can't compare really, can you, when you've led the race start to finish? Oh, there's three cars off. What's going on?
Chaos out of turn 4. Hopefully the captain of the leaders. Looks like Colombo Griffiths may have been involved in that one, and indeed they were. For Griffin Gaming Red. What's happened there? Very, very indeed. Yeah, not entirely sure what's happened there. But seems to be okay. Seems to have kept going. It hasn't upset the order too much. I think I do have to agree with you, Alex. I mean, again, Stevenson gets massive, massive kudos. Again, the Season 10 champion's done a fantastic job after that lap 1 spin to work his way up to P5. And honestly, a few more laps now, I wonder if he could have been P4, given his pace. But Nico Bossert, the last time he entered a Premier Series race was in Season 10, the Brazilian round, and he took his first victory then. The German now, as he rounds the final corner, 1 lap away from opening the season with the perfect start. I'm not entirely sure if it's a Grand Chelem, because I'm not sure who's got the fastest lap, to be quite honest with you. Alex, I don't know if you have a way of checking who has the fastest lap, but if it's Nico Bossert, he might be on for a Grand Chelem here, which is just unbelievable. Oh, Dimitri Minic goes the wrong way around and lets Amorim nil through as they're on the penultimate lap. That's a real shame. He'll drop back to P8. Nico Bossert, though, less than a lap away now as Raris Charlo lets some laps traffic through and appear. Actually gets through Colombo Griffiths as well. So Griffiths having more issues late in the race. I wonder if tyres are starting to die. Yeah, Alex, are you able to tell if Nico Bossert has the fastest lap of the race? Because I'm not entirely sure myself.
I think he does, but it was Cody last time I looked, but I've not looked since.
Well, it's a possible Grand Chelem for Nico Bossert. We'll have to confirm to you after the race, because he's led every single lap of this race from pole position. And if he has the fastest lap, I mean, that's just the cherry on the cake. Again, a Grand Slam heading his way. We don't know if that's the case. But the German has 1 corner to round. It's his first race back in Formula Trout Premier Series in a long while. The last time he was in the Formula Trout Premier Series, he won. The German driver in the German car starts the Season 12 in perfect fashion. Nico Bossert dominates here in Bahrain, takes an outstanding victory. And Cody Lawrence will make it a 1-2 for Yinger GP. The reigning champion will have to settle for second. But today is Nico Bossert's day. What a performance from that man. Simply untouchable out on track. Thomas Barbary, the reigning vice champion, he'll finish in P3 with Morella in P4 for Yinger GP Academy. Stevenson, a fantastic comeback drive to 5th after that lap 1 spin. Giovanni Amorim, he's not set for P6 because Jaden Neal is right on his tail. It's North America versus South America. Who's going to hold on? Jaden Neal's going to need to use all of his abilities, all of his curves, maybe some DRS to the line. There's 1 more corner to go between these two. It could be down to the checkered flag for P6. Making their way through the final corner. Who gets the better exit? Looks like it will be Giovanni Amorim who holds on for P6 there. As Jaden Neal will have to take 7th. Dimitri Minic will finish off in P8. Christoph Buzz will be 9th. And Philip Olsen, a Griffin Gaming 9-10 to round up the top 10. A disappointing day for the Griffin Gaming squad. But today, it's all about that man, the German Nico Bossert. The first time he's entered a Formula Trout race in a long time, and he's picked up where he left off, because the last time he won, this time, he may have possibly brought home a Grand Chelem. Again, it all depends on whether he had the fastest lap. We can't quite tell, unfortunately, due to the limitations of Assetto Corsa. It's possible that Cody Lawrence had the fastest lap. But even then, Boss at pole position led every single lap and took a dominant victory. What a race we've just seen here to open up season 12 of the Formula Trout Premier Series. It is Nico Bossett taking a fantastic win with Cody Lawrence in P2 and Thomas Barbary in P3. Fantastic stuff. I mean, man, oh man, Alex, what a race we've just seen.
Yeah, absolutely intense start to finish. I mean, it calmed down a little bit at the end, but you still had those battles in the midfield for P5, P6 with Amorim. So yeah, really fantastic race. That top three, yeah, Bossett kind of controlled the pace, but the battle for second and third was still on for sure. And yeah, they did put on a good show for us. So great round one for the series and for the season. Yeah, hopefully season 12. Exciting championship battle on our hands. I think we have Case Willems waiting for an interview.
It is entirely possible, and we do have Case Willems waiting for an interview, so we'll drag Case in for our first post race interview. Case, well, season 12, maybe a bit of a disappointing start to the season for Lioness Race. Unless it was a decent result, P15. It could have been a lot worse. Talk us through it.
Well, I think it has been quite a while since I've done a trout race, but man, that was a really, really chaotic start, I think, from basically everyone. Yeah, I was a bit surprised, to be honest. I can't say too much right now about some incidents I've had with a few people, especially Roland. I just want to check the replay of what really happened. I tried to do some overtakes into turn one, where I'm like right beside them or I'm right ahead of them, but it feels like they're slowing down all of a sudden, or I'm going faster than them, and then I hit one on the back. So it's really small things like that. Yeah, that they're not nice, but it has been many months since the last Premier Series race, so I think everyone, even with the test races that we've had, you really need to get back into the rhythm now. But aside from that, it's great to be back. It's great to have you back, Ross. I think, what did I get? I think I got P15 overall. I'm still pretty satisfied with that. I think Cyprian, he got 18, something like that. So I think if there's another virtual challenge split, we'll be doing pretty good. So yeah, not the cleanest race, but overall not too bad.
Yeah, I mean that's a very fair way to put it. Again, it's been a long while since we've been back here. You can take that from you. I mean, what's the objective moving forward then across the season? Again, we're 2 weeks away from when we head to Red Bull Ring in Austria. That's a race that always provides chaos. What's your goals heading forward? Are you aiming to be fighting for points, fighting for podiums? What's the goal for Lioness Racing in 2025 and season 12?
Well, since season 8 in 2021, for me, it's always been about teamwork, cooperation. So within, GP, obviously we are trying to help each other out, share setup, share knowledge, share tips and tricks, really trying to help each other out. And now, especially with me and Cyprian, from the previous seasons, we have been like pretty consistent in terms of like our lap times. Like we were almost always doing pretty much the same. Sometimes Cyprian faster, sometimes me faster. So it's already great to have him here with me this season. So we're really on the equal level on that. Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be basically the same, to be honest. Just keeping up that teamwork, trying to get as many points as possible. But I do hope that further future races are going to be cleaner than this.
I'm noticing that we have Antone, performance engineer, waiting in the Discord, who's supposedly with you. Should we grab him in to the to
Sure.
get him alongside you as well? Yeah. Should we? Oh, he's actually deafened himself. So maybe we'll drag you both back in a minute because he's deafened himself. So we'll leave it for now. Maybe we'll drag you back in for. Oh no, he's just undeafened him. There we go. We'll drag him in then. Antone, if you can hear us, hello, welcome. Welcome to the interview. Hello, yeah. Run us through that race from your perspective.
All right, okay. So, thought to actually get some data out into Case's performance. That's one of my main objectives this season, basically. But yeah, that's a pretty that's a pretty messy start for Case. Unfortunately, I had him on C2s. We wanted him to have a longer stint. Sort of anticipated that there was going to be a bit of a mess at the start of the race. Unfortunately, he just had so much damage at the start, and it was just not really good on his lap times towards throughout the start of the race. So what we tried to do essentially is try to keep him out as long as we can. Even with the damage, he did really well, so I'm really pleased with that. But eventually towards the end of the race, it just flat out, I think, unfortunately got into quite a big crash with someone, even with a better C3 compound. But overall, there was some technical issues. Couldn't get the DRS system working, but he did quite well. So I'm quite proud of him on this one.
And well, Anton, talk to us about what your role is within Lioneers. Of course, maybe some people watching, they're not quite sure, what actually quite goes into, sim racing here in Assetto course or in Formula Trout. Talk about, what your day to day is with Lioneers, what your relationship with the case and the team, and what you actually do and how you process that data.
Yeah, sure. It's an interesting one because I've only started like 2 days ago with Case, but we get a lot of telemetry data out of the simulator of Case. We try to process um, multiple outings throughout the day. So there's a little procedure called driver on a loop. He'll be inside it, and basically I'll get him on a particular setup. We'll get him like 3 to 4 laps around, look at the data to see if there's any performance gains. If it's going positive or negative, we'll make some changes, oversteer, understeer. He'll give me a lot of feedback, and we'll tweak the car accordingly. But it's an interesting one because with the Assetto Corsa compared to other race sims, you can only do so much. It's very tempting to just crank up the downforce level to the max, but I don't know. It's trying to find a fine balance between downforce and lap time. So yeah, that's one of the goals that I'm trying to balance with Case. It's pretty new to me as a performance engineer, but we'll get through the season. Hopefully, we'll get some nice performance gains for him.
Well, really interested to hear that. Thank you, Case. Thank you, Anton, for joining us from Lioneers Racing. And oh, yeah, again, it's only early doors in this season today, but still plenty of time to go for the rest of the season. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for commentating.
Guys.
Oh, always a pleasure. That was Anton and Case Wilhelms from Lioneers Racing. Let's bring in second place and our reigning champion, that one, Cody Lawrence. Cody, if you can hear us, well, of course, you came into this one, high expectations ahead, reigning champion and all that, second place. I mean, you can be pretty happy with that one, I reckon.
I kind of said coming into the season that I feel like I'm going to be the Checo in this Max and Checo lineup, and Nico is proving his Max Verstappen from right there, I would say.
Well, I mean, it's only race one.
For sure. No, that was close to everything I had. I think I just had a really bad start phase. I used all my curves by like turn 3 on lap 1, so I put myself in a hole there. And it's really important if you're in the DRS or not. And once we lost DRS, I think that just gave Nico the ability to drive away realistically, and he had the pace to do that. So well done to him. I'll do my best to try to close that 2 to 3 tenth gap. It's going to be very tough because those are the hardest 2 to 3 tenths to get, I would say, in sim racing. So we'll see. Definitely wanted to be a little closer than I was. Let's put it that way.
I mean, on a positive note, yes, it was P2, and you may have wanted to be P1, but it was a very, very comfortable P2. Once again, heading into season 12, Junior GP are looking like the team to beat. Again, you're rolling into this season with the knowledge you're the reigning champion. You've got the momentum behind you, perhaps. Maybe not after this race, of course, but heading into the season at least, you know what the team can do. You've seen what the team can do this season. So at least looking ahead, I'm assuming your goal is, fight for race wins, get back in that championship fight again, even if it's against your own teammate.
Absolutely, 100%. That's why I come out here to drive. I don't come out here to field fill. I come out here. I give 100%, and 100% is going to be giving Nico a challenge. However tough that will be, we'll see how it develops through the rest of the season. But I'm not gonna quit. I've got the willingness to fight this all the way. So I'll try not to make it easy for Nico.
And heading to the Red Bull Ring in 2 weeks' time. Very, very different circuit from here in Bahrain. what's the game plan going forward for the next couple of weeks in terms of testing, both yourself and the team? Of course, I'm sure you've got team boss Maxi Yinger alongside you helping the way. Is it more about kind of just keeping in that positive headspace, keeping pushing forward, and going into the Red Bull Ring? Knowing you're the reigning champion, knowing you're the best team here in Formula Trout, knowing that you can win.
No, for sure. I'll say I'm not going to do 700 laps like I did for Bahrain, trying everything under the sun on setup. But I think definitely more structure, give myself kind of more of a direct game plan. I know what I want to test for Austria, so that's good. I think just knowing what I need to do, a lot of it's just going to be what can the driver do? What can I do with the car in my hands, at my hands and feet? So for sure, a little bit more structure, practice, and I think I can get it closer. That's going to be. I know it's possible. I know I can do it. It's just putting it together. Qualifying's always been my weakest point. So as early saying, and after qualifying, now the fun begins. Right after we finish quali. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Thank you very much, Cody. Great result today, and we'll look to seeing you in 2 weeks' time and for the rest of the season.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thanks for commentating this. I hope we put on a good show for you.
Oh well, that's the hope anyway. Thank you very much, Cody. You're reigning season 11 champion. Cody Lawrence there, finished P2. Let's have a chat with P3 Thomas Barbary. Thomas, if you can hear us, a great result for you out there today. You must be satisfied, even with the Younger GP guys running away a bit but still, a good foundation to build on for the season.
Satisfied? Absolutely not. My race was kind of poor, to be honest. So should have finished P2 at least, or battling for P2 with Cody. Nico had too much space for me and for Cody as well. So yeah, pretty much disappointed with this result. Did a spin that cost me 4 seconds, and from this point I knew the tires were gone. I just had to save my P3, and I knew I had more pace than Antoine and Steve. So yeah, that was the only thing.
Well, I mean that's much more of a negative expecting. But fair enough. You're your own worst critic. What actually did happen with that mistake? Because we didn't actually catch it on the broadcast, but we saw that you lost about a second and a half. Was it just a half spin or what actually happened?
Yeah, Cody overtook me like in lap 15 or 16, something like this, like 14 maybe. Because I was a bit struggling with tires, and yeah, he passed me, and then we did 2 laps, and then in T4 he was braking obviously for the corner. I was a bit too close, spun on the brakes, and yeah, just spins, lost 4 or 5 seconds, and the rest was gone.
So moving forward, then, obviously you've even by your standards, you've had a disappointing day today. Obviously it's the long season ahead. Still 11 rounds to go. We're going to the Red Bull Ring in Austria in 2 weeks. So is the goal to be fighting for wins out of the bat from next week? Are you looking to really raise a championship challenge early doors, or is it just about being more consistent, even if you can't win, just finishing second, finishing third, being in those podium spots?
Well, I guess I'm just trying to give my best every race. So if I finish first, good. I will be very happy with that. Finish second, third, okay. If it's the maximum I can do, I'll be happy with it. But if it's like disappointing like today, so finishing not in the position I expected, going on into the race, yeah, I will be disappointed. It's only this. Just trying to give my best every race.
Well, we'll have to wait and see across the rest of the season. Thanks for joining us, Thomas. And yeah,
Thank you.
we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you very much.
That was Thomas Barbary. We do have a few more people waiting for interview. We'll speed through them, looking at Antoine finished in 5th place on 7th. So Antoine, if you can hear us, very, very solid result. Quick, unfortunately.
So I could hear you a second ago, but
Oh, that might be my Wi-Fi cutting out because it's decided to not work over the last few days. But yeah, a solid race for you today. A good result. You must be feeling pretty positive after that.
yeah, it's been a pretty nice race. I've had a lot of struggle to find pace on the car, and I'm happy to close the gap slightly. But yeah, it's still a long way to go to fight for wins, but yeah, pretty happy with the result anyway for tonight.
And Yeah, I mean, you must be very, very happy. As I said, you seem pretty positive about it. What went well in that race? The strategy seemed to, you had the pace, you kept it on the tarmac. Was it just about kind of running your own race, or did everything happen as you expected?
I think I've been a bit lucky because there were a bit like some people making mistakes at the start, so I gained a place on Steve. And then I tried to keep to stay in the DRS train, but at some point I made a mistake and it was pretty much a race alone for the rest of the race. So I just tried to keep some gap in and manage the race to make sure I could bring home P4 basically.
Yeah, no, again, driving for Yingo GP Academy, it's still, seeing the rest of the Yingo GP squad do what they do and, win the race. You must be very, very happy. And what's the support like with the team that you're in as well? Obviously, you're in the junior team, in the academy team, but you're still out there getting this great result in the opening race. Are you having support from the team? Are you having, setup help, practice help?
It's very nice. Like we work together on the car, the setup, and also the driving. I think I get a lot of insights from Thomas because he used to be the driver I was trying to help improve, and now he's basically better than me. So yeah, I'm just trying to compare everything to find my way through. We work on the setup all together, and yeah, it's very fun. Like we have a good time driving basically during the week. So yeah, very good.
That's great to hear. Well, we'll have to see what you can do over the rest of this. Thanks, John.
With pleasure.
That was Anton Morel, who finished in P4. Bring in very, very. We brought in. Let's bring Christoph Berzer in. Why not? For a very quick moment. Christoph.
Hello.
Hello. Not the race I think that you were looking for today, to put it politely. What happened?
Yes and no. I was hoping for points. I qualified 12 or so. 13 couldn't put the lap together. I ran P5 because people kept spinning out in front of me, but ultimately P5 just wasn't my pace. I had one moment on the second to last corner, was braking on the curb, slid out, lost like 5 seconds. And these 5 seconds took me out of the fight for P6, 7, 8, whatever. But other than that, than the one mistake, clean race, so I'm happy to take 2 points today. Because the field is really fucking tight.
No, that's fair enough. But yeah, I mean, from a team perspective,
Yeah.
yeah, it's Griffin Gaming. Obviously, you guys, you're one of the stalwarts here at Formula Trout. You want to aim high. It may not have been what you wanted to be today. So, what's the plan going forward? Again, it wasn't unfortunately a great result for
Yeah.
yourself and the team. So, I guess moving forward, you want to kind of yourself and Philippe Olsen as well in the other car, just kind of get your heads down, get practicing, for the next couple rounds, be in the top 6 where you think you should really be for the next few races.
Yeah, so we had a bit of it was a bit unfortunate because Felipe couldn't practice for the last 2 weeks like he practiced before, but then he had a 2-week time where he just couldn't access the setup. For the next race, we're just going to do that again, as he just told me in private. So yeah, the first races, I guess we just have to tough it out, see. I was surprisingly happy with the car's balance. I was just very afraid of pushing it. But overall, I think for myself it was positive. No spins. For Felipe, he was just out of shape. He got in the car today, and that's just it. He had the pace to be top 5. I had the pace to be top 8, 7. Made one mistake. That's P9. Still, at least we got some points.
Points mean prizes, as they say at the end of the day. Got points today, so that's what. Even if it wasn't to be for the results that you would have wanted, it was still so
Yeah.
We'll bid you good luck and say well done, and we'll see you at the next one, Red Bull Ring.
Thank you. See you. Goodbye.
And that was the last of the interviews, I believe, because the only other person that was waiting for an interview is currently live streaming it. Discord. So we'll say goodbye then. Alex Cochrane alongside me, who was mainly on the cameras because he had a bit of a sore throat, so I decided to take over. So sorry about that if you got sick of my voice. But Alex, pleasure to be here, and a very interesting today. Sets up the season very, very nice.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah,
I'll mute my mic. Yeah, pleasure to be here. Again, thank you for commentating. Very, very exciting season ahead of us. If anyone wants to get involved and is watching the stream right now or watching the replay, please do not hesitate to join the Discord server. That's where we kind of run everything. It's where all the signups are done through. So please, join the server, say hello, get involved. We had a very, very packed 30-car grid today, but there's always space for more. Well, there isn't always space for more, but we're always taking on more people. So if you do want to get involved, please join the Discord server. We'd love to see you here and race in the season ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely click that Discord in the description. We're very nice. We don't bite. Especially with the recent early access release of Assetto Corsa Evo as well. We know there's going to be a lot of interest in Assetto Corsa at the moment. This is where the best of the best race in Assetto Corsa here in Formula Trout really test themselves in single-seater action. If you think you can put yourself up to those standards, please head on over. Please come and have a go. It's a very, very competitive series, but a very, very friendly series that everything is left out on the racetrack. And the second the checkered flag falls, is friends. So you're not going to be any enemy. Thank you very much for joining us for the opening round of Season 12. I cannot believe it's 12. Season 7 was just a blink ago for myself anyway. Make sure that you join the Discord if you haven't already. Make sure that you're subscribed and like the stream, share the stream, etc. If you haven't already, get these guys' names out there. Again, these guys are the best of the best in Assetto Corsa racing. They really put it all out on the racetrack and leave it all for us to witness. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time, February the 1st, for the next race of the Premier Series season, as we head to Austria and the wonderful hills of Red Bull Ring.